up, we preview what the LSU bullpen will look like for the Tigers and Jay Johnson in 2026 on this brand new edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. I'm your host, as always, Justin Babin Jr. It is indeed Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. I thank all you folks once again for tuning in to the show. Hope you had an amazing Monday yesterday. Hope you're having a great, fantastic Tuesday today. But let's get right into the show, as we're going to continue along with our LSU baseball preseason preview for the 2026 season. Again, opening day is under 2 weeks away now, folks. First game for LSU is Friday, February 13th at 2 p.m. in Alex Box Stadium against the University of Milwaukee, and I can't wait for it. We talked about the starting pitching rotation yesterday and what that might look like. If you missed it, go back and tune into it, because that was a good conversation. But we're going to cover the bullpen today and kind of cover anything on the pitching staff that we didn't talk about yesterday, or anyone that we didn't talk about yesterday, we're going to cover today. But I think when you start talking about the LSU bullpen, how I want to do this is I want to lead with the guys that I think are going to be, at least at the beginning of the season, your biggest contributors. And I think when you talk about this LSU bullpen, I think my top two guys to start the season at least are two right-handers and a returning Gavin Guidry and Maverick Rizzi. So when you talk about Gavin Guidry was a key arm for LSU in 2023, right? And he was the closer for the majority of the 2024 season. Now, a back injury did cost him in 2025, so he didn't pitch at all for the Tigers in 2025 because of that back injury. But he looked really great in the fall from all reports. I mean, he looked really good. He's got a 4-pitch mix now, so he's got a variety of pitches to work with now, more than he did early in his college career. And look, I went to a scrimmage last Friday, I believe, and one of the guys I got to saw pitch was Gavin Guidry. I got to see Gavin Guidry pitch for about 2 innings, and he was pretty dominant. He struck out multiple LSU batters, and he looked great to me. He looked really, really good coming off that back injury that cost him 2025. When you talk about Gavin Guidry, obviously, a super-duper competitive guy. We saw it in 2023. We saw it again in 2024. And, he looked great the other day when I saw him in action. And I'm excited to see him back in purple and gold. It was very unfortunate that he didn't get a chance to play at all for the Tigers in 2025 due to that back injury. But I'm excited to see him back on the mound. And one of your key bullpen pieces, I believe, to start the season at least, is Gavin Guidry. And then another guy is, of course, returning Maverick Rizzi. We talked about Maverick Rizzi and William Schmidt last week as the two LSU sophomores I was keeping an eye on as far as do they take a jump between year one and year two. And I thought Maverick Rizzi was decent in year one as a freshman at LSU. I mean, he led LSU in appearances in 2025. He didn't allow, he did not allow a run in 3 NCAA tournament games. He did have some shaky play in SEC play. He had an ERA of 7. In SEC conference play, gave up 9 walks and 12 hits in 9 innings. So Rizzi, it was a mixed bag for some of the season, but he definitely showed some flashes, and I believe in the stuff that Maverick Rizzi has. And Jay Johnson, obviously, you look at the way Jay Johnson talked about Maverick Rizzi. Obviously, Jay Johnson has a lot of faith in Maverick Rizzi. He said in his media day press conference that Rizzi should be the most confident player on the roster with the physical ability that he has. So obviously the physical ability that Maverick Rizzi has, he's a flamethrower. He can really, when he's on, he's on. He kind of reminds you of Chase Shores in that both Shores and Rizzi are like 6'9", 6'10", really tall, really lanky, really big guys. So when you talk about it, and look, I think Rizzi's going to be interesting for me because I think if he steps up and improves, he can be a dominant force for you out of the bullpen. And like I said last week, you saw the jump from freshman to sophomore year, and a guy like Cade Anderson, who was your ace last year and one of the best pitchers in all of college baseball in the entire country in 2025, and he became a top 3 pick in the MLB draft last year. And I think Maverick Rizzi has all the tools to be dominant. I really do. I really believe in Maverick Rizzi if he can put it all together. So I think when you talk about the two guys I'm looking at most out of the bullpen to rely on early, I think it's Guidry and Rizzi. I think those are my top 2 guys, but there's a bunch of other names that we're going to go through. We'll start with right-hander Devin Sheeran, who didn't play for LSU in 2025. He's looked great, though, has Devin Sheeran, coming off of a torn ACL. So he was a transfer. He was at St. Mary's College, St. Mary's University in 2024, and then he tore his ACL, and that unfortunately cost him 2025 season. But Devin Sheeran, I mean, he looks really good. He throws in the high 90s, so he's got really good heat, and the staff, from all reports, is really, really high on what Devin Sheeran can bring to this team. You haven't really seen him in any game action because, again, he was a transfer, played at St. Mary's in 2024, didn't play for LSU in 2025 because of that torn ACL. But I like Devin Sheeran. I think when you look at his numbers at St. Mary's in 2024, he struck out 109 batters and walked 32 in 70 innings in 2024 at St. Mary's. So I really like a guy like Devin Sheeran, and I'm interested to see what he can do in the purple and gold because we haven't seen it yet. But the staff is very confident in a guy like Devin Sheeran, and I've been hearing a lot of good things about him. I've also been kind of surprised that I've heard a ton of good things about senior right-hander Grant Fontenot. Grant Fontenot apparently was dominant in fall ball. One of LSU's absolute best pitchers in fall practice was right-hander fifth-year senior Grant Fontenot. Look, some guys develop at different speeds. Some guys, it takes them years and years and years. Some guys, they can come in and contribute right away. Grant Fontenot has stuff. Now, has it worked out, great in past years at LSU? No. But he had an excellent fall. Again, one of the best pitchers in terms of performance for LSU in the fall. And look, I think the staff is really looking for a big jump in production from Grant Fontenot in 2026 in his final year as a Tiger. They really think he can pitch some high leverage innings for LSU in 2026. Can Grant Fontenot? Moving on, there are a few lefty newcomers, transfers out of the bullpen. There's 3 left-handers out of the bullpen you need to pay attention to. They're all transfers. One of them is Santiago Garcia, who transferred from Oregon, JUCO transfer Ethan Plog, and North Dakota State transfer Danny Lockenmeyer. So when you talk about Santiago Garcia from Oregon and JUCO transfer Ethan Plog, they're not overpowering, but they're both lefties who have really good command from the left side. They throw a ton of strikes. When you look at it, I mean, Santiago Garcia threw a bunch of high leverage innings for a really good Oregon team last year in 2025. He threw 30 innings out of the bullpen with a 4.20 ERA for Oregon last season. Oregon was, I believe they were a regional host last year. Eugene was one of the host sites for the first round of the regional. I don't believe they ended up winning that regional, but that Oregon team was really good, and Santiago Garcia was a big part of that out of the bullpen with that 30 innings and 4.20 ERA. JUCO lefty Ethan Plog. Ethan Plog has kind of an awkward delivery. It's an awkward short arm delivery that can give opposing hitters trouble. He's got really good spin on his breaking ball from all reports. So Ethan Plog is a guy that you should pay attention to. And then another left-hander is Danny Lockenmeyer from North Dakota State, who was a first-team All-Summit League selection last year with 9 saves and a 2.37 ERA in 38 innings. Lockenmeyer is the number 21 transfer pitcher according to D1 Baseball. So when you look at it, you brought in left-handers. We talked about it yesterday. The only starting pitcher that we really referenced yesterday as having really a chance, although we don't know, right? We don't fully know how it's going to play out. But when I talked about it yesterday, the only left-handed pitcher I mentioned was Cooper Williams. But you did bring in 3 left-handed transfers out of the transfer portal in the offseason. You have a returning left-hander and senior DJ Primo as well, who's returning for another season. Another transfer you got is a righty from Angelo State and Dax Dathe. I want to see he was Dax Dathe. I want to say Dax Dath, but when you look at it, I think according to the internet, it's Dax Dathe. I want to say Dax Dath, but it's right-hander from Angelo State, Dax Dathe, who last year at Angelo State went 18-5 with a 4.00 ERA and 157 and 2/3 innings in 2 seasons. He did that. Those numbers were in 2 years that he was at Angelo State. Again, you have some returners in DJ Primo, and also right-hander Connor Benj is returning for you. We talked yesterday about the 2 transfers, we talked yesterday, about the 2 freshmen I think you really need to pay attention to that were highly touted coming out of high school, and righties Marcos Paz and Reagan Ricken. You also added a few more freshmen as well, a left-hander, Jonah Ase, I believe, who was the number 35 left-handed pitcher in the country coming out of high school, and right-hander Zion Theophilus, who was the number 32 right-handed pitcher coming out of high school. So look, I think when you talk about this bullpen, when I preview it, I think, again, I'm excited to see Gavin Guidry back in the purple and gold. I'm really excited to see Gavin Guidry back in the purple and gold. When I saw the scrimmage the other day, last week on Friday, I believe, he was really great. I'm excited to see the jump up from Maverick Rizzi. I think those are my top 2 guys that I'm really paying attention to as arms you could lean on out of the bullpen. Again, last year, what was it? It was Kason Evans and Zach Cowan, and there were some other names there that contributed for you in the bullpen, but those were your top 2 arms in Evans and Cowan. And I think when you look at it, I think my top 2 arms right now going into the season, to me, are Maverick Rizzi and Gavin Guidry. Although, I mean, Kason Evans and Zach Cowan were on another level for you last season as far as having that 1-2 punch out of the bullpen. I mean, I believe Cowan had 6 saves for you, and Evans had 7 saves for you last season. So Cowan and Guidry were both dynamite as well. I loved what I'm hearing about Grant Fontenot in the offseason. Again, I had an incredible fall ball by all reports. Did Fontenot, and I'm excited to see Devin Sheeran in purple and gold for the first time because he didn't get to play for the Tigers in 2025 due to that torn ACL. Good number of transfer lefties that will see action also, I think. And also, I think when I talked about the starters yesterday as far as who's going to fill that Sunday starter role, let's say whoever doesn't fill that Sunday starter role is going to be moved down to the bullpen and be able to contribute as well. So let's say, for example, Cooper Williams winds up being the Sunday starter for LSU in 2026. Well, that means Zach Cowan, Jaden Newt, and William Schmidt and guys like that move down and definitely have a role in the bullpen as well. So I think you have a lot of depth here. You have a lot of depth in the bullpen. The guys I'm looking at, of course, again, Guidry, Rizzi, and Sheeran. Those are my top 3 names that I think you could pay attention to. Also, the transfer lefties, Grant Fontenot, heard some great things about him. And again, whoever doesn't wind up being the Sunday starter and filling that role, those guys that don't wind up being that Sunday starter will, of course, move down to the bullpen. So I think overall, you have a bunch of depth here. And that's what I love about non-conference play. Non-conference play is you figure it out. You figure it out in non-conference play. You're not playing SEC level competition. Your non-conference schedule, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be playing weaker teams. You're not going to be playing really good teams. So when you look at it, that's what you spend the majority of non-conference plays figuring out bullpen roles, figuring out starting rotation roles, like that Sunday starter role that we talked about yesterday. And that's going to be interesting. But I think if I was to have a prediction, who do I think are the top 3 arms out of the bullpen for LSU going into the season? I'm going to go Guidry, Rizzi, and Devin Sheeran. But there's multiple guys behind them that can step up as well. So that's my bullpen preview. We'll talk tomorrow about the outfield. We'll talk Thursday about the infield. That's the plan, and then we're figuring out what we're going to do Friday. But again, we'll planning to lead every show this week with LSU baseball preseason content, as I cannot wait for the Tigers to get rolling. Let me now take the opportunity to tell you about our wonderful daily sponsors over here at the Babin on the Bayou show and the team at Shield Heating and Cooling. And I've talked about it before, but you're talking about a team of experts with multiple decades of experience as experts in the AC industry. And I love my audience. I love you guys. I want to reward you for faithfully tuning into the show. So if you call the number at 225-46-BAYOU today, 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU. If you call the team over at Shield Heating and Cooling at that number today, tell them you heard about them from the Babin on the Bayou show, and I'll be giving away free AC system clean-in checks for every AC system in your home, whether you have one AC system in your home or 4 or 5 AC systems in your home. It doesn't matter. Take a part in this giveaway today by calling the great, wonderful, the best team in the business today at Shield Heating and Cooling at the number 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU today. Tell them you heard about them from this show, giving away free AC cleaning checks for every AC system in your home, completely free to you, giving it away to you as a sign of my gratitude towards you guys for always tuning into the show. I really hope that you'll take a part in this giveaway. Again, that number is 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU, and that's Shield Heating and Cooling, your local comfort defenders. Alright, few more pieces of news that we can touch on. LSU women's basketball 2026 commit Lola Lampley yesterday. It was identified that she has been selected as a 2026 McDonald All-American, the 2026 women's basketball commit, and Lola Lampley. So, congrats to her. Excited to see her in the purple and gold for years to come. Again, women's basketball 2026 commit Lola Lampley, McDonald's All-American for 2026. And then LSU football did pick up another transfer yesterday in Georgia Military Academy. Transfer offensive lineman Adrian Lamb. Lamb he's 6'6". He's just under 300 pounds. LSU beat out a host of SEC teams for Adrian Lamb, including teams like Auburn, Alabama, and South Carolina, among others. He is the second junior college offensive lineman transfer of LSU's portal class. He's going to finish up courses in the spring at Georgia Military Academy, and then he will transfer and join the team in the month of May after finishing up his courses at Georgia Military Academy in the spring. He joins 8 other offensive line transfers that have transferred into LSU over the last month, along with returners including Braylon Moore, Weston Davis, Solomon Thomas, and Brett Bordelon. So again, adding another body to that offensive line room, which we've really talked about. We talked about it throughout the month of January. You have plenty of upgrades. You get a guy like Jordan Seaton. That's going to be the biggest name to pay attention to in 2026. You bring in guys like Devin Harper and Sean Tompkins, Aluba, and then you retain guys like Braylon Moore, Weston Davis, and all of that. But you add another body to the room yesterday in Georgia Military Academy transfer offensive lineman Adrian Lamb. LSU did release a statement yesterday basically saying that the College Sports Commission, the CSE investigation has been resolved. No disciplinary action was taken against LSU. So like I said, I didn't think there was much there, and it looks like there was indeed nothing there that implicated LSU of any wrongdoing. Also, another piece of news, the last piece of news I wanted to touch on is that every recruiting source pretty much at this point has come out with the final edition of their rankings for the 2026 recruiting class. And when you look at it, LSU has 2 players in the top 10 of 24/7's final recruiting rankings for the 2026 class. Those 2 players in the top 10 are defensive linemen in Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson. And both Brown and Anderson are also the only 2 5-star defensive linemen for the class of 2026, according to the Rivals industry ranking. We talked about it. The number one thing for this high school recruiting class, at least, was the defensive line talent you brought in. And you bring in the only 2 5-star defensive linemen according to the Rivals industry rankings of the 2026 class, and guys like Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson. So as far as beefing up that defensive line, beefing up that pass rush, and just overall on the defensive line, just phenomenal work by Lane Kiffin and company. But look, that's pretty much all I have for the show today. I've enjoyed breaking down this LSU pitching staff. Look, I think, again, the thing about the pitching staff, you have a lot of depth here. I've gave a few predictions on as far as Kason Evans Friday, Cooper Moore Saturday. You got 4 arms that I'm really looking at: Zach Cowan, Cooper Williams, Jaden Newt, and William Schmidt to potentially step up and take that Sunday starter role, take a hold of that role going into SEC play in mid-March. And then as far as the bullpen, I think your top 3 arms to me are Guidry, Rizzi, and Devin Sheeran that you need to pay attention to. But there's so many other options here as well. And we always see somebody who's not expected to step up eventually always steps up throughout the season. So it'll be interesting. I'm so excited for LSU baseball to start again in less than 2 weeks on Friday, February 13th at 2 p.m. in Alex Box Stadium against the University of Milwaukee. But I thank you folks so much for tuning into the show. Remember to like the video, share the video, tell your friend about the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed already. And remember, God bless, go Tigers, and have a great one.